Last Sunday, we heard some of the policy initiatives put forth by New York Governor Kathy Hochul for the year ahead. She would expand childcare, reconsider bail reform, expand assistance for thousands of families trying to afford childcare, and lean on localities to build a lot more housing.
It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Local governments can meet these targets any way they want. They can shape building capacity, they can redevelop old malls, old buildings, office parks, incentivize new housing production, or just update the zoning rules to reduce the barriers.
So, how does that play in our communities? This morning, the mayor of Plattsburgh gives us his take on the state of the state. Joining us this morning from his post at City Hall, Plattsburgh Mayor Chris Rosenquist. Welcome back to NBC5 In Depth.
Hey, Stuart, good to see you again.
Good to see you. So you were in Albany for the governor's State of the State the other day, and I'm wondering what you thought, particularly, as the leader of a northern New York community that certainly has its own problems with respect to things like affordable housing. That was a key element of the governor's remarks.
Yeah, as a member of NYCOM as well, and the mayor, I serve on the Government Operations and Community Redevelopment Committee on NYCOM. Housing is a big issue for the state. It's a big issue for the city of Plattsburgh and our region. A lot of the initiatives and the New York Housing Compact that Governor Hochul is promoting is welcomed because it addresses a number of concerns that we have, not only just the need for housing development, but also the need for infrastructure improvements and investments, which are also part of this compact. So we are looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
Well, one element of her proposal is to set new targets and really lean on communities and counties to hit new goals for construction or creation of new housing units. State Senator Dan Steck didn't think a lot of that. He calls this a market problem that needs a market solution. How do you see it?
It's a combination of both, and so for the state to set these targets, and there's two levels of targets here. One is a 3% increase in new housing in more metropolitan areas, but for us in the city of Plattsburgh and the region, we would be looking at a 1% increase in available housing. But to get there, the first thing that we need to do is we need to first understand what housing we have, what kind of housing, who's occupying it. Is it owner occupied? Is it a combination of just straight rental? That's something that we don't have a good solid understanding on. For the city of Plattsburgh, a lot of what governor's proposal in this new housing compact addresses is to increase the build and rehabilitation of housing. That's something that we are focused on primarily because we're a city. We don't have large acreage of property to develop. We have what's called infill development, where we have lots that can be developed or houses that can be rehabilitated. And that's the kind of incentive that we're going to be looking to take advantage of for housing development.
One of maybe her biggest applause lines was her promise to try to index the New York State minimum wage to the rate of inflation. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, I'm mixed on that. To be honest, it would be a challenge. And, if I take my mayoral hat off and put my small business owner hat on, to raise minimum wage to such a fluctuating number year over year, it would be a challenge for small businesses. I'd like to see how that plan and that proposal plays out a little bit more. I would agree. I was there and I heard the thunderous applause to that proposal. That's probably the biggest reaction that she got from all of her proposals. But I still would like to see the details of that proposal, and I'm a little hesitant on that one right now.
And revisit bail reform. That is touchy in northern New York, isn't it?
I'll tell you a number of reasons why, and I think it's really required to acknowledge the reason why we had bail reform in that proposal in the first place. Disproportionately, Black and brown people in the U.S. and in New York State are incarcerated. Because of that, the amount of bail becomes prohibitive for people to be released before their court date, because it does get pricey. Now, I also think that the pendulum has swung way too far to the other side, and there needs to be a balance in between there. There needs to be some type of discretion or some level of discretion for judges to make on the bench decisions on the safety of the public based on the type of crime. But at the same time, let's not lose sight of the reason why we are having this conversation for bail reform, and to ensure that not only do we increase public safety, but we don't continue to disproportionately penalize people who might be underrepresented or may not have the financial means to pay for bail until they have their day in court.
Let me ask you about a couple of local issues in the time we have left, Mayor. You're preparing to overhaul the main artery through the city of Plattsburgh, which is Margaret Street. It's going to be messy. To do underground utilities, as we've seen in communities around our region, in a sense, no pain, no gain. What do you anticipate?
Yeah, look, and I don't mince words on this. I make it crystal clear that this is going to be a major interruption to our downtown, a major interruption to some of the businesses that are downtown. And first and foremost, we're doing this is because we're sitting on 1903 infrastructure. Infrastructure that was installed, water sewer infrastructure that was installed when the city of Plattsburgh was incorporated as a city. That's how old this water sewer infrastructure is. And what we've seen in other areas and in other neighborhoods in the city is a complete water system failure. That's not something that we want to see in our downtown, something we want to get ahead of. Based on that, and based on the need to replace that water system, that water and sewer infrastructure, we are looking at making street level improvements and improving ADA access, improving the sidewalks and the streetscape, making it a more inviting downtown. And I'll point to Lake Placid, because Lake Placid went through a very similar process, a 3-year process of revitalizing their water sewer infrastructure and their streetscapes downtown. It's a similar project that we're looking at, smaller scale in terms of the length of it, but it's going to be an interruption, but a necessary one. So we're looking at a 2-year construction cycle on this.
And the Crate Memorial Civic Center, adjacent to the city beach, is I guess slated for demolition. What are your hopes for that site and for the beach in the upcoming season?
Yeah, and again, we go back to some of the community sentiment and the folks who have expressed an emotional outreach and regarding the demolition of the Crate. The contract is signed; it's funded already. Right now, we look back to the 2016 waterfront feasibility study, which does call for the demolition of the Crate and a restoration to open recreation. And so, after the demolition of the Crate, we will look to restore that property to open recreation. We've been doing a lot of work on the beach in terms of making sure that it's accessible, that there's a new trail system through the woods at the beach. We've done a lot of improvements out there because that is our crown jewel, and we want to continue to invest in that property.
Mayor Chris Rosenquist from the city of Plattsburgh, thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be right back.